Give it till 10 seconds, then we'll be good to go. And here we go. What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to AVIOT Sunday Brew. This right here is part of the AVIOT podcast, which you can find on streaming services anywhere, where we talk to you live. We have live dialogue. I don't know how long this episode's going to be today, but I do have some talking points. Sorry I've been gone for such a long time. You can kind of hear it in my voice right now. I have been sick, very sick, and has stopped basically all activities within our platform. And I have definitely been hurting. I've been feeling it, been coughing, been blowing my nose, but I'm happy to be back right now. Previously, I made a post that was saying, hey, we're going to reschedule the Sunday Brew episode. And that, I believe, is when the sickness started taking on, or started coming on. And so I just said, all right, I'm not going to keep on making posts just delaying. Instead, I'll just come back on and I'll explain what's been happening. So here I am, your host, Jay Stokes, back to you all. I don't know if anyone's going to be in the chat. It's been a minute, but I would definitely appreciate whoever decides to watch and decides to contribute in a tasteful manner. Okay, I know we've had trolls on this show in the past. So I remember in the last show, I was talking about a myriad of topics, but I remember I was covering the WNBA a bit, and I still got to put a cover art for that episode too. However, I am still watching the WNBA, still have been following it intensely, and there have been many good things we've seen this season, many good teams, many up-and-coming teams. The Washington Mystics were not on my bingo card for being a team that was going to make noise this season. The Atlanta Dream, I did feel was going to make noise because you had Brittany Griner added onto there, Bree Jones. Bree Jones came from my squad, the Connecticut Sun. And so you're seeing just a lot of players making noise. The rookies are doing pretty good this season. They seem fearless, specifically Sanaya Rivers and Kiki Iriafen and Sonia Citron, even Paige Beckers. They seem fearless. They seem like they have been in this league before. And I'm definitely enjoying what I'm seeing. Going back to the Washington Mystics for a bit, I went to a Washington Mystics game a little while back, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and that was good. That was their home opener against the Atlanta Dream. I put up an episode where I was speaking on my experiences being at that game. I tell you, it was lit. The crowd was into it. It was great just seeing just how this team was starting off their season and seeing today. Now, the Washington Mystics beat my squad today, the Connecticut Sun. But being a resident of the DMV area, I am cheering for the Washington Mystics just when it's not against my Connecticut Sun. Oh man, they destroyed them. It was like 100 and something to 60 something. I think they almost beat the Connecticut Sun by 40 points. Just let up on my squad, man. We got to do something. So with the WNBA also, okay, Shane, this is what I was talking about right here. So you got trolls in the chat already. Anyways, so with the WNBA, also, you've seen there have been many injuries as of late. Paige Beckers has been out. I believe Alyssa Thomas has been out. Caitlin Clark has been out. You have several players. And if I missed any other key names, please forgive me, but I'm trying to recall this from the top of my head. Anyways, you have them being out, and you see that the teams that need certain players, they've been kind of finding their way. I know the Indiana Fever, with Caitlin being out, they've been doing decently because, contrary to popular belief, the Indiana Fever have star power. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, Tawana Bonner, they have other players that can still carry the load. All right. I believe a lot of people thought that with Caitlin being out, it was going to be she was the end all be all, and then the team would just suddenly dip. They would nosedive. But no, this team is still talented. They still have players that can do well. And I don't like a lot of the narratives which people have been saying, oh, with Caitlin now not playing in the WNBA right now because she's injured, it's going to affect the viewership. We see that the viewership for the WNBA is still up. You still have games being sold out. She is not the sole reason for the WNBA's popularity, and I wish that we would actually get away from those narratives. In fact, I would argue without Caitlin playing right now, it's actually helped in terms of the hatred being spewed towards players, in terms of the media being annoying. I don't see media covering the Minnesota Lynx or the New York Liberty the way they should. Both teams are undefeated. Both teams have been playing high caliber basketball. And I think that's important. I'm going to get more into the whole Caitlin Clark fiasco and probably a side video that I'll make in the future. But that's all I'm going to touch on with that right there. Speaking of women's sports in general, we have Coco Gauff, who beat Arina Sabalenka in the Roland Garros French Open. I don't know the pronunciation, so I'm going to say we know it as the French Open, but she beat her yesterday in the Roland Garros. Man, let me look this up. The French Open yesterday, and it was in dominant fashion. Now, Coco lost the first set, but then she ended up winning the next two. Let me see. What is it called? Roland Garros. There we go. Roland Garros. My bad. I said Rios Garros like this. Like we in Brazil. The Roland Garros. But yeah, Coco won that game against Arena. And I'm very happy for her. I think she's the first American to win that tournament since Serena Williams, if I'm not mistaken. That is a huge deal. Her also being a Black American woman, being a Black woman in general, I think that is a huge deal as well. Tennis, I've seen, tends to be geared more towards white players. And when you have dominant Black players, then it becomes mess. It becomes chaos. Now, I know there's been some chatter in the past that Coco wouldn't be good in tennis, that her U.S. Open win was a fluke when she beat Arina Sabalenka in that. And Coco just proved that she is the one, right? She is that one. She really can be dominant. She can perform well when she's not in her head. And you can see that she has grown as a player. She has definitely matured, and she's only 21, I believe. So she has a long career ahead of her, in which she can definitely win more Grand Slams, make a name for herself. I know the saying is Venus and Serena walked so that Coco Gauff and other Black girls out there can run, and you really see it. Something that, now, while we congratulate Coco, and it's great, this is definitely a Coco Stan account, something that happened afterwards was Arina Sabalenka was talking during the press conference after the match, and she was saying how she felt she had a lot of unforced errors, a lot of errors in her performance, and that it wasn't necessarily that Coco was the better player, that she just didn't perform up to par. She also said that the player that she defeated, I believe her name is Iga, in the match before reaching the final where she played Coco, that Iga could have beat Coco. But my thing is, Arina beat Iga, so she deserved to be in the final. And a lot of people had Arina winning. I'm going to be honest. Me personally, I thought Arina had the edge too. I was rooting for Coco. I just felt that Coco, a lot of times she gets in her head. And when she gets in her head, then she ends up losing. But Coco seems to have Arina's number. She beat her in the U.S. Open, and now she beat her in the Roland Garros tournament. So she ended up winning. I'm so pleasantly surprised. I'm very happy I was mistaken, and that my fears could go away. But to say that Coco wasn't the better player, that she didn't deserve to win, that's what I'm getting from Arina, that is false. Coco was the better player, and she beat you in the U.S. Open, and we saw, and the thing is, I defended Arina in the past when that video came out of her smashing her racket in their hindquarters after she lost to Coco. I said, all right, you need to let her have her privacy, she's competitive. But now it seems that Arina just doesn't feel like Coco's deserving to win. She feels like she's the better player, but the thing is, you're not. Coco has beaten you twice in these major Grand Slam tournaments, and she's coming for that number one spot if she really keeps at it. I hope she gets that number one spot. So Arina, no excuses. I know she put out a half-hearted apology today or yesterday. It's on her PR team crafted, in which she was saying that she tries to say it like it is. She had apologized to Coco, but she was still kind of saying that she felt she had a lot of errors. No, Coco outplayed you. Coco Gauff outplayed you. She's deserving of that championship. We stand Coco over here. I wish Coco all the best, all the success in Arena. I hope that Coco is always a thorn in your side, because you cannot go about things this way. It's giving hints of bigotry. We know that you are from a European country, and we know how European countries often feel about Black individuals, and you shouldn't be making these comments. Arina is a sore loser. Point blank period. She is a sore loser, and she needs to work on herself. Simple as that. So That's that. I'm thinking of tennis in general. I'm thinking about how a lot of black female players have been judged in tennis, how they've been scrutinized all the time. And I think about Serena Williams in the past, what she went through, and she still was dominant. To me, the best female tennis player of all time. She is second to none. Shoot, I would say that her star power as a tennis player overshadows both men and women. So Serena is that one. And I think about how people got on her body all the time, got on her attitude, and it was it was unwarranted. And so, as a result of that, you had a lot of people like me that came to the defense of Serena over the years, saying, "Don't body shame her, don't talk about her attitude. Like, she deserves to be here just like everybody else. She's just a great player." And I say that, and I'm connecting it to another incident of body shaming that happened recently with Thames, the Nigerian-born singer. So Thames was at a performance at the Roots Picnic. Now, the Roots is a legendary hip hop group, for those of you who don't know. And Thames was singing at this event. She was performing, and then you had some people online saying, "Oh, well, we don't feel like she's all that curvy, like her body looks a little weird, like her behind doesn't look lifted enough," and it straight up body shaming her. And I made a video and I was coming to defense of Tim, saying, I think that, not I think, I know the culture that we have today has set a lot of unrealistic expectations for women in terms of how their body should be, especially black women. BBL culture, everybody has to have the behind looking a certain way. They have to have the perfect hourglass figure. They can't have any like pouch in their stomach area, none of that. That shouldn't be the case. Women's bodies, they vary. Black women's bodies vary. Not everybody's curvaceous, not everybody's thin. There is a variety of body types. And to go online and be talking about Thames's shape, that is unnecessary. That shouldn't be happening. So I understand that people have thoughts. My thing is, if you don't feel like these thoughts, and I've been guilty of this in the past, and I've been trying to check myself of this, but if you don't feel thoughts are helping a situation, or if it's putting somebody down, then those thoughts should not be online. Those thoughts should be kept to yourself. You can have your banter with people back at home, but also even with that banter, just be cognizant of how you're speaking. Be cognizant of what you're saying. If you're talking about somebody's body, it might be jokes, but why do we have to joke about it? Thames looks fine. Thames looks fine. There's nothing wrong with her body. So those comments shouldn't be made towards her. Now, I made this video, I put it out, and I'm speaking about this subject right now, and I think about the AVIOT podcast. I couldn't find the episode because that takes me sifting through some old episodes, but hey, Peekabub, how you doing? I was sifting through some old episodes, and I thought to myself, I was thinking to myself, in a past episode, I remember when me and my other co-hosts were on the podcast, there was some comments made about Lizzo. Lizzo, the, I guess, singer, hip hop artist in America, pop star, I'll say, in America. And I know that her body was a certain way, like she was definitely overweight. I can't sugarcoat that. She was overweight, and now she's been on a fitness journey to try and lose that weight and be healthier, in my opinion. And there were some comments made about her body on the podcast. I personally didn't make the comments, but I made the environment comfortable enough to which those comments could be made. And there were not positive comments about her body. So I have to take ownership of that, and I can't be a hypocrite. I can't say that, oh, hey, funny and insightful, how you doing? How you doing? Nice to see you again. Yeah, I was saying in the beginning, it's been a minute since I've been on here on the AVIOT Sunday Brew. I've been sick, so I've been out for a minute, but now I'm back, and hopefully we can just continue to have these wonderful conversations each Sunday. But as I was saying before, there were comments made about Lizzo's body, and I feel that I made the environment so that these comments could be made. And I want to apologize for that, because funny and insightful. Oh yeah. I don't listen. I have some virus, and I still am congested right now. I hear it in my voice. I don't know if you can hear it, but yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I was coughing all over the place, blowing my nose. It was terrible, but I'm getting back into full form. So, as I was saying before, with the Lizzo situation, I want to apologize for creating an environment to which Lizzo's body could be talked about in a negative way. I understand, like I said before, you can have banter behind closed doors, you can have banter with your friends about certain things, but you really have to ask yourself, what is the point? You could be making jokes and it could be something that's funny, but I really think it's important to really consider the root of those jokes. With Lizzo, before she was overweight, and to me, I felt that how she acted in public about being overweight, I felt certain things she said was a bit, let's say, irresponsible, because the fact of the matter is, yes, people can be plus size. However, there are certain people that get to a certain weight and it is unhealthy. If you notice, a lot of celebrities that parade, oh, I'm proud of my big body, I'm proud to be in the skin I'm in, they end up losing weight later on in their careers. I look at Monique the comedian. She always was talking about, oh, these skinny bees, these skinny females, these skinny women, blah, 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 blah. And now Monique lost weight. Look at, what's her name? Megan Trainor. All about that base, no trouble talking about how she loved being big and everything. Megan Trainor lost weight. Lizzo, talking about body positivity, and it's fine to be body positive. Now Lizzo's losing weight. There's a difference between being plus size and being a little heftier and not being healthy. Let me look at this comment from Funny and Insightful. But you can't be responsible for what people comment. By that logic, we're also responsible for maybe. I hear you, Funny and Insightful. Yeah, me personally, I do not feel comfortable making critical statements. I can be critical of somebody, right, on this platform that I have. However, I don't like poking fun at people or making fun of people. It's, if I do it, we're all laughing together as opposed to at the person's expense. Earlier in this episode right here, I spoke about Aryna Sabalenka and how she made distasteful comments towards Coco Gauff after losing to Coco Gauff in the Roland Garros match yesterday. I didn't make fun of her. I called her a sore loser, but I'm not going to make fun of her. That's just not me. Maybe in my circles, we might gist and have fun and say jokes here and there, but I think that me on this platform, I have a responsibility to not cause harm to individuals because things can catch on like wildfire. I remember in the past, I made a TikTok video in which I was speaking about this Black woman. However, she was another ethnicity from me than me. She was some sort of, I think she was Liberian, and she made a derogatory term towards Black Americans, just some inner African diaspora stuff. And so I had made a video critiquing what she said, but I never made fun of her. And in the comment section, a lot of people made fun of her. And it was so bad to the point where the woman that I was critiquing in that video, she reached out to the platform and asked me to take the video down, to which I did. And I actually put it on private because I wanted to address other comments that were made in that video later on, but no one can see it but me. And so I am trying to be wise with how I use this platform. So I see another comment. Being overweight by choice is never an excuse. It's fundamentally unhealthy. Hypersexualization of plus size and calling them curves isn't optimum. One should always be healthy. FYI, my BMI is 26. I'm against making fun of them, but I'm also, funny and insightful. And that's the thing. You always make insightful comments. So it really goes along with your name. What I will say is BMI, that is a flawed way to judge your health in terms of body weight, because some people could be muscular or have bigger bone density and that would make their BMI higher. I think by BMI standards, I think I'm considered overweight. And if you look at me, I'm not a big person. But so it is a flawed standard, and you are exactly correct. There is a hypersexualization of bigger, curvier bodies. That is very true. And unfortunately, that makes people believe, oh, well, let me just continue being big because then I'll be looked at as a person who is, my thoughts are escaping me, as a person who is attractive. You look at from back in the days, I believe during medieval times and all that, you had bigger women that were looked at as the prize. You look at older European art, bigger women were seen as more attractive. So that is definitely a thing. I don't think we should be glorifying overweight. It just is. I feel the same. I feel the same way about, just a quick tangent about sex work. Sex work, I don't think we should demonize sex work, but I don't think we should glorify it either. Sex work exists. People consume pornography. People consume strippers. They consume all of that. It exists. It just is. I don't think we should put it on a pedestal because we have incidents where sex work can be harmful, but I don't think we should put it down because a lot of people consume sex work, and these are people too, and they deserve the same rights as everybody else. They deserve to live in peace. So that is that. With that being said, having a responsibility of a platform, I recently just put out, let me see. Oh shucks, I got a cough now. Excuse me. Sorry, that's a sickness. Still trying to get out of my system. Funny and insightful, you said, I didn't have enough character to say I was overweight, but I am, not by a lot. Working towards being healthy. And these stars, they say segment, geez, my throat. Fan base and have dialogue to keep them loyal. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The body positivity stuff, a lot of times, I think it is a way to captivate a certain fan base, certain people who are overweight. And the thing, it's fine being somewhat overweight. It's fine, just as long as you're healthy. That's the point, right? Lizzo was obese, okay? There's no getting around that. Lizzo was obese, and I'm sure she had a health scare, and that is why she's losing weight now. I am very sure. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, but that is another ball game altogether. It's fine being a little bit overweight. It's fine being overweight in general. Just be healthy. That's what it is. So I was going to the responsibility of a platform, because I was speaking about how I try to be responsible on my platform. There is this woman on TikTok who made a video recently that she was saying Harriet Tubman, she believed this wasn't a real person. Harriet Tubman was more so a figure that was created in order to give Black people hope. So she got chewed out, rightfully so, because Harriet Tubman was in fact a real person and she has descendants. I don't think she had children, but she has family members that are still alive today, that had children and they had children and now they're alive today. So she issued an apology video, but the apology was not really an apology because she still didn't admit that Harriet Tubman was real. That's whatever. Whatever her prerogative is, whatever she wants to believe, that's on her. However, I looked at her follower count on TikTok. This woman has over 200 and something thousand followers on TikTok. And that is very, very alarming. Let me see. Sam Smith, Lizzo, Nash. Yeah, Rebel. I hear you, Funny Insightful. But that's very alarming. And actually, I have this video right. Let me see if I can move the camera some. This is her right here. I was editing the video on my software, and I just put it out to where I was talking about her and her apology video towards the Harriet Tubman thing. But it's very alarming that she has over 200 and something thousand followers on TikTok, and she's making statements such as this. This is how disinformation and misinformation spreads. And we really have to be careful about the people, what we're consuming, and the people who we are listening to when it comes to their viewpoints and opinions. And what I noticed too is a lot of people with public platforms, a lot of people with these high platforms, they have a hard time admitting when they're wrong. It's an ego thing. I don't know what's so hard about admitting when you're wrong. I have been wrong on several occasions when it comes to different facts that I've been citing, different opinions I have toward the topic, and I'll go back, spin the block, and be like, you know what? I got it wrong on this. Here's the correction. Obviously, you don't want to keep on getting things wrong because then that makes you not a very credible source. However, no one is free from error, and so Oh, let me see, funny insightful. But was that TikToker pandering to a certain crowd or working towards this proven? No, this TikToker, they they try to be deep. I think there's this whole subset of people that try to be deep and they try too hard to be deep, and it ends up being misinformation or pseudo intellectualism, and they're not really that intelligent. They're not really that bright. So she was trying to connect it to how a lot of black people are not, I guess, taught their true history. It's weird. I don't really feel like going into that, but she was trying to connect it to black people not being taught their true history and how the schools need to do a better job of teaching about black history. And so she made Harriet Tubman into this figurehead who was, in her thoughts, in her mind, invented in order to help black people have a sense of history. It was really weird. But that's what I mean by pseudo intellectualism, trying to be deep, but she's not really that deep. I'm not a fan. And people like that with large platforms, it really bothers me because certain people shouldn't be having large platforms, but here we are. Speaking of people with large platforms using their voices for good or evil, there's this guy on the Grits and Eggs podcast. I forgot his name. I can look it up. Let me see. Grits and Eggs podcast. Grits and Eggs podcast. His name is Deontay Kyle. So Deontay Kyle, he made. Okay, wait. If Harry Tubman was alive, she'd have used a rifle. You're funny and insightful. That's funny. Yeah, what's next? We didn't go to the moon. It was invented in a space. You know, it's funny because I've heard that argument of we didn't go to the moon, but I'm just like, as far as I'm concerned, we went to the moon. We went to the moon. I don't. Yeah, a lot of people have these weird conspiracy theories. Some conspiracy theories have some merit to it. Others, not so much. Like if there's a conspiracy theory that there is I guess, an operation to make it so that we don't know that UFOs or extraterrestrials exist, I can see that, because to think that we're the only beings in this universe, I think, is quite arrogant. But that's just me. So, anyways, going to the Grits and Eggs podcast with Deontay Kyle, and this will be my last topic of the day. He made a statement talking about how men have to hold other men accountable and how we have to do our job to make sure that men are not harming women. And so, and I think now he's getting he has quite a bit of clout, and his platform is definitely growing. And that's, in my opinion, using your platform in a positive way to spark positive change. He got pushback from a lot of men who were, and funny aside, let me read this before I get into it. What frightens me is that there's an audience that consumes and believes without vetting or due process. I know, definitely. And that's part of the reason why I was really big on creating this platform right here, because I'm trying to help people think. I don't know how big this platform is going to get, but I'm just trying to do my part. But it is freaky. But anyways, Deontay Kyle was saying that men have to hold other men accountable. We have to make the world a safer space for women. And you had a subset of men out there who were upset with him, and they were saying that, well, we're not responsible for what other men do. I understand to a certain degree, but holding other men accountable could be something as simple as if you have a friend that says misogynistic terminology, or they have misogynistic viewpoints. Check your friend and correct them. Try to educate them and let them know how women shouldn't be looked down upon, how you shouldn't be saying negative things about women, how women are not born to cook and clean, how women are allowed to have autonomy, how women are allowed to choose what happens with their bodies, how women are flawed individuals, but they're not beneath men, right? Women are humans. That's how you hold other men accountable. If you see a man harming a woman, maybe call the police instead of just turning the other way and going away. There are different ways to hold men accountable. It doesn't mean put your life on the line for a woman that you don't know, unless that is a woman that is your loved one, right? holding other men accountable means that all these narratives regarding even like the Diddy trial, DDG, Tory Lanez, when you see men online spewing a lot of negative rhetoric, nonsense, checking those men, making material such as this, making videos, making content that challenges these harmful talking points that men have. That's how you hold other men accountable. Unfortunately, while I may not harm women, right? While I may not have misogynistic views, while I may not think of women as less than, you have many men that look like me who do. And unfortunately, if I'm walking down the street and I encounter a woman and I just say hi, she may look at me as the same as she would the other men who look like me, who would put her down, who would catcall her. So it is my responsibility to a certain extent. Funny and insightful. It's much more complicated than that. While chauvinism plays a role in sexist behavior, it's often coupled with deformed upbringing due to lack of parent or circumstances. That's very true. It's very complex. I made a video and I put it out. I believe it should be on this YouTube channel as well, where I was speaking about a lot of the societal expectations of men or the views towards the quote unquote bad boy. Yeah, exactly. Funny and insightful. You're right. And so I thought about people like the current president, right? I thought about Chris Brown, R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein. How can we teach men and boys to do better when we prop up harmful men? And this is also women that prop up harmful men as well. You have women that say, I like a guy with a little hood in him. I like a bad boy. What that does is that perpetuates this narrative that men are not valuable if they don't have an edge to them, but that edge is dangerous, that edge is harmful, that edge is misogynistic. We have to really work as humans to make it so that we get rid of all these harmful viewpoints. We have to make it so that women and girls don't believe the bad boy is the one. Instead, the boy or man that treats them well should be the one. We have to work to show boys and men that you do not have to treat a woman wrong in order to gain her respect. You can be vulnerable around a woman. Obviously, within reason, don't be crying all the time. I don't think anybody, regardless man or woman, wants someone who's crying all the time. But we really have a lot of work to do. And I believe we can get there with a concerted effort. With that being said, that'll end this episode right here of AVIOT Sunday Brew. Thank you for everyone who came in the comment section. Funny and insightful. I always appreciate you hopping on board. I'm going to continue doing the work. So what's brewing for me this week? I have a lot of work to do in order to just kind of build back up this platform. We've had a lull just because when I'm down, nothing gets done. So I will do what I can to create content. Thank you, Funny Insightful. Appreciate you. I'll do what I can to create content that really drives the point home towards healthier topics, towards better narratives out in the media. And I hope that everybody's on board. Definitely please remember to like and subscribe to this channel, follow us on our other platforms, and just give us topics to talk about, and we'll try and handle it for you. All right, thanks a lot. See you next time.